What's going on where you are?
Well, here at the Bomas of Kenya, the long wait that started minutes after 5 p.m. upon the closure of the Narok prison polling station, when the results started being flashed on screens across the country, there was a feeling that we were hurtling towards a grand conclusion of this very crucial democratic exercise. There was a feeling across the country that perhaps this time, with the technology in play, the results would be concluded. Today, on Friday, this afternoon, the wait continues. And whilst there was excitement a little while back that this was actually coming to some sort of conclusion with the presidential candidates here, with the exception of President Uhuru Kenyatta and the agents filling up the tallying center here at the Bomas of Kenya, that wait was finally coming to some conclusion of sorts, according to members of the public. But after the presser by James Sorengo, the chief agent of the National Super Alliance, it appears that we've got a long way to go as far as NASA is concerned. But for the Jubilee Party, they've always insisted that the results being streamed accurate. So a standoff of sorts. And at the very same time, Linda, we are also still patiently waiting for official word from inside. The good thing is that all the sides have agreed that people must maintain peace, with NASA having raised quite a number of issues, as you saw before. They say results from 11,000 polling centers, the backup forms, the crucial documents to authenticate the electoral process are yet to arrive at the Bomas of Kenya. So earlier on, we listened to the IEBC clearly stipulate that over 273 crucial tallying centers at the constituency level had already sent their documentation. NASA maintains with 11,000 still out there, it's still too early to call it. And they're also maintaining that should they be allowed access to the servers of the Electoral Commission, they would be more than satisfied with the entire process. So right now, it's a question of assuaging the demands of all the sides and waiting. The clock is ticking. Patience persists. We at KTN News are all eyes, all ears, all lens, all cameras, standby, ready to go anytime with the breaking news. But it appears there's still some distance to really go.
Abdi, if Abdi can hear me. Abdi, listen. We just got snippets of what some of the NASA leaders there had to say. I'm assuming you are there. Forgive me if you are not. Could you run me through some of the issues they raised for the sake of our viewers?
Okay. One of the key issues that they did raise was that this process, which people felt was cascading to a major conclusion, a grand finale this afternoon, is far from over. They say that with 11,000 polling centers yet to provide documentation for verification and checkups, this is a long way to go. It's a major, major factor affecting the results that are being tallied here. They've also insisted, and very strongly so, that from their own tallying process, their agents and their verification systems, that President Uhuru Kenyatta did get at least 1.5 million votes extra. They also have an issue with that. They say, where did these votes come from? Because they've gone through the documentation. And of course, the IEBC is yet to comment on that. That's a very, very grave allegation. It's got to be investigated. They've also spoken about another major issue, which they say a number of results that were being splashed on our screens, including on KTN News, courtesy of IEBC, were coming from non-gazetted polling stations. They say who did gazette these polling stations. As far as they're concerned, those are not qualified, certified legal results. So a number of major issues which are pointing to a climax of real worries, perspiration on the part of agents, and they say these issues must be addressed. You cannot walk away. Upon being grilled by members of the media, he actually said transparency is not just a word, it's a crucial thing. It's part and parcel of this process. So NASA clearly have raised major issues which they say should stand in the way of any transparent, free, fair electoral tallying and announcement exercise at the Bomas of Kenya. So until those are addressed, there have been meetings, they say, with the clergy. They're calling for patience, for peace, And they say, for the sake of the prosperity of this country and the unity of the people, we've got to wait. So with NASA having said that, it now appears that what people thought was just a major announcement, we spotted many VIPs, members of parliament, freshly elected, governors now, governor-elects who are now basking in the glow of glory, all arriving here in their powerful SUVs. You'd have thought within a few minutes or a few hours, the whole announcement would have been made. It appears there's so much at stake here, Linda. We're still waiting. The patience that has gotten us through many long, chilly nights is the one that's keeping us on this evening.
Abdi, trust me, you're not the only one who thought this announcement was going to be made today. Like you, when you started seeing the big cars, the SUVs, and some of the leaders, including cabinet secretaries, everyone was like, okay, this is it. Then Ezra Chiloba comes and says, okay, so we're still waiting for results, forms, 2 more forms, and then we still want some of we need some clarifications from the returning officers. So clearly this is going to be some wait again. But then it's interesting that you mentioned the leaders who are there. I know NASA's leader, Raila Odinga, is there. Do we know exactly what they're doing there? And if they're meeting the IEBC, do we know what exactly is going on?
Well, there are lots of behind-the-scenes happenings here at the Bomas of Kenya. That's been the case even on the very first night of the tallying exercise, of the counting that was going on across the country. Before even NASA raised a storm that shattered the chill of the night here at the Bomas of Kenya on that very Tuesday night, actually ushering in Wednesday morning, there was concerns, the concerns that had been raised were addressed at meetings between the IEBC and the political parties. Right now, though, the crucial thing we're hearing is that the leaders are overseeing their teams that are now checking how the process is going on at the tallying center. So it is an exercise of waiting for word, consulting among themselves as political parties, meeting their agents, and ensuring that they go through the stack of documents, the electronic paper trail, the electronic document trail, the paper trail that's there. Everybody's going through it with a fine-tooth comb. There is no taking chances. This is what they'd been waiting for God knows how long. They'd waited for this election, constitutionally stipulated to happen in this month of August, to send people to the August House and the different county governors' headquarters. But more importantly, what's at stake, Linda, of course, is the presidency, the heart of power, the seat of power along Status Road. And therefore, nobody just wants to give up. Everybody wants to make sure the process can be accounted for. It's clean as a whistle, and they're still waiting. So that's what's keeping them at least away from the microphones as they go ham on just ensuring the whole exercise is pretty transparent.
Like you mentioned, I mean, the presidency is the heart of it. One of the demands that NASA leaders are making is that the numbers that have been scrolling at the Bomas of Kenya should be pulled down because it wasn't clear the origin of these particular numbers. I'm sure before you sat on your set, Abdi, you must have taken a walk around the Bomas. Did you see that the numbers still scrolling there?
Well, the numbers have still been scrolling, at least at the media center, that the numbers are still on. The major thing here is once a political player, and the very crucial one as such, that is NASA, raises issues about non-gazetted polling stations pumping data all the way to the Bomas screens, you can actually get it very clearly that this issue is one that has to be addressed urgently. The other thing that is very clear is that we have seen the political party agents really busy. They've not batted an eyelid as they go through the documents. So the crucial thing, Linda, is as we wait, the IBC insists this data is the correct data. NASA says, hang on, you remember the agreement before the election. We agreed everything will only come from the constituency final tallying center with backup documents. They say, why the rush? Why did you rush without the Form 34As? And why are you pumping data, including some which they allege is from non-gazetted polling stations? The IEBC is insisting, hang on, we're the electoral agency, everything is clean. Be patient, watch, and take in the data. For the rest of us, it's catching the news here on KTN News. We'll keep you updated as it breaks here at the Bomas Tallying Center.
Abdi, always a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you. Keep an eye on what's happening there for us. Of course, we wait for the next presser coming from the IEBC. And I'm listening into Abdi Osman. And Kamodo, let me pick your mind on this. So the form that everyone is talking about, form